Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Luis A. Serrano Morales, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the film and nature analysis on the movie Castaway, specifically the human and nature relationship in this movie and how it is presented. Let's start. Don't we imagine ourselves in a paradise such as this, especially in the times that we live on today? I mean, don't we just want to be in a beautiful beach with beautiful clear waters and just with a huge coconut filled with very juicy juice and just drinking it and just being all relaxed and just letting go of the world and all of his worries? I mean, it will just be paradise. I mean, it's everyone's paradise if you say so myself. I mean, who doesn't want to be in a place like that, especially how things are in the world right now? Well, if I were to tell you, people will get very tired of that very quickly. Why? Because of the human and nature relationship that is currently being established nowadays. I mean, us humans, we're not really like getting connected with nature as a whole, and it's quite a problem because we need to be in touch with nature every single day and preserve it instead of getting rid of it so we can do new plans and new things for the future. And then what about the generations to come? They'll never get to know like what truly nature's aspect really is. For example, the movie Castaway, and made in the year 2000, directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring Tom Hanks as Chuck Nolan. Over here you can see on the top left corner a picture of the director, Robert Zemeckis, and on the right of him is the actor Tom Hanks portraying the character of Chuck Nolan. And also on the bottom right you see a picture of Chuck Nolan after he's been in the island for 4 years. So, brief synopsis of the movie. It is a person called Chuck Nolan, which is a FedEx employee, a supervisor to be more specific, and he goes around in planes and he goes supervising different FedEx companies throughout the world. So he's used to going on planes and going on trips, and because of this, he normally doesn't have a very stable relationship with his wife. And then you can see a lot of conflict between them, but he doesn't seem to care that much, but because it's his job. So he just keeps going and keeps going until his life changes forever. He's on a plane crash in one of these trips and lands in a deserted island on the Pacific Ocean, and then has to survive for who knows how many years. Specifically, there were 4 years that he was stranded on this island, and he has to adapt and survive on this new setting when nature calls. And since he was on the city and on the plains and just traveling, he never imagined being in a situation like this ever in his life. So then when nature came calling, he had to adapt in quickly because this was a matter to live or to die. In this clip where it says, "I have made fire," this is the first time that Chuck ever does fire in the island because right now fire has become an essential element to his survival, knowing that since he's going to be living off fish and coconut juice, he needs fire to cook the fish in order for it to be edible, or else it can be not edible and he can get, a disease or contract something and die very quickly. So when he does do the fire for the first time, you can see his characteristics and his emotions change from pure desperation to pure joy and happiness, as we can see in this clip. Let me put it up right there. So as you can see, he is struggling to really start the fire. And then when he does get the fire, it was then around this minute, he finally lit the spark. Just full of pure emotion and joy. And then he pretends as if there were an audience there to congratulate him on this incredible feat. And there he says, "Look what I have created. I have made fire. I have made fire." A very essential yet very basic element in human and just nature as a whole is now necessary for his survival, because imagine him being at his home and just sitting around and cooking up in his stove and letting the fire and cooking himself a nice steak. he wouldn't know that fire was going to be this important later on in his life in this specific situation. So there we can see, nature truly playing a big role in this scene and in this movie in the form of fire, and how we can see someone like Chuck change emotion that quickly when lighting up the fire. Let's take a look at the next scene. When Chuck goes fishing, this is a little bit later on in the movie, but I decided to put it in this order, and this is where Chuck has been in the island more than like 4 years, and here we see that he's already used to hunting and to surviving in this island because he's been here 4 years. So he made it his own spike made out of wood, and he throws it, and it lands on a fish perfectly, like with ease. And all you can see is just no emotion, and his body language says it all. He's already used to doing this because it's his new survival instinct because of the nature that surrounds him. It has changed him. It has made him evolve into something completely different. So there we can see how the human and nature relationship can completely change a person completely on the way that he acts, that he thinks, and the way that he lives. So let's take a look at this clip. He lands that shot perfectly, like in one try. And then we see his body language and his face is just standing there because he's already used to that, because that's who he is now, a new Chuck Nolan, a survivalist Chuck Nolan, because of how the nature and the environment surrounding him has changed him to a completely different person. Over here, we see the coconut scene. This is very early in the movie. This is like around the first day that he landed on the island after the plane crash, and he's gathering up, as you can see, all the FedEx packages that were on the plane. Now he's gathering them up to see if there are any supplies or anything useful that he can use on his survival. While he's doing this, let me play the clip, and he's organizing the packages and all that, he hears something. He hears a coconut falling from a palm tree. He's very suspicious. Then just one falls almost right in front of him. They could have hurt him. And then he gets the brilliant idea of, wait, I can drink coconut juice. This is going to be his supply of like liquid from the next 4 years. Because all that's surrounding him is salt water. He can't survive with salt water for I think not even more than 1 year. So he needs to take this. This is the only way he can survive, to spread this out. Let me skip a little bit forward. He's trying to peel that coconut, and when he does, you can see he's just so desperate and just crazy to get into that inside so that he can get the coconut juice. And when he does, out of the pure desperation, he loses it. He loses the coconut juice. So he's more desperate. He's like, wait, what do I do now? He keeps going. This is like his first instance on where his survival instincts kick in, because no one can get this survival instinct just on a normal day-to-day basis. It only appears in a certain situation like this in order for your survival instincts to kick in, and then you can do these type of things so you can survive and adapt to the situation at hand. Here we can see a real-life castaway case by a man named Salvador Alvarenga. Now let me get the details so then I don't miss one thing, because I really want to not get this wrong here. Experiences like this happen, in our day-to-day lives. It's not only interpreted in movies. For example, the case of Salvador Arenga in 2013. He got lost at sea with his shipmate Ezekiel Cordoba while they were fishing out of the coast of Mexico on November 17th, 2012. The storm distanced them from the shore and kept being rowed away from the coast. Now, one of the most chilling stories that he told throughout this journey was that he got to see his friend Dick Hay and die next to him because of the lack of supplies that they could have gathered. So he watched his friend die, and he kept talking to him as if he were alive because of the situation at hand and the just the pure, just like I can't even put it into words. I mean, he grew mad and he became crazy because of the situation. I mean, that no human should ever live to see a friend die right next to them and pretend like they were still alive, because that's just how he acted. It was his best friend. I mean, and just pure insomnia that kicked in and pretended that he was still alive. It's pretty gnarly story. So you can kind of correlate the Castaway movie to a real life Castaway case, such as the one from Salvador Alvarenga. So here we go back to the main topic of this whole thing, which is human and nature relationship. The whole thing of human and nature relationship is how can we establish it? We need to just read on new articles on how to preserve nature, especially like the Amazonian forest, the way that it was burning up on fire and it was all man-made. It's crazy to think that, because it's like, how can we treat nature like this if you want to preserve it? It's very crazy to think that we're destroying our own nature instead of growing more fond to it and be more intact with it. But the only way that it's affecting us is when it knocks on our door directly, head first, like the situation that we're living now with COVID 19. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that a virus like this can affect us in such an impactful way. I mean, we could have prevented this, or at least made things easier, if our governmental leaders could have done things beforehand, but they underestimated it. And now that it is here, it's very, very hard to stop. And now is when they're doing the damage control, when in reality they could have done it way quicker and way more efficiently. But they underestimated it because they never seen anything like it, or at least prepared, or not even think of something at this scale. So that is why our human and nation relationship has to be very well established in order for situations like this to not happen, or at least prevent them from happening. And it just makes us good humans overall. I mean, it just makes us good humans to be in touch with nature, because it's a natural essence and a basic element of our lives. I mean, we use nature every single day to breathe oxygen, to drink water, eat food, and the basic elements of nature that we live upon every single day, and we don't even know that they're there, instead of appreciating them more like we should, because when they're gone, simply we'll just cease to exist and die. Like, it's that grim, but it's that like essential and that important to have them. So it's very important to preserve them, to uh, act like we do care, because we need to care. Never overuse them, especially on situations like this. I mean, we should spread these basic resources for every single person that we can, instead of gathering it up for ourselves, and just embracing it and just admiring it of all the beauties that it has, instead of admiring them when they're gone. We have to admire them while they're here, instead of when they're completely extinct. And that just helps us become better humans, think better, and just love better, of having a basic human and nature relationship, because it's just healthy for us overall. And here you can see my works cited of all the clips and all the information, such as the CNN article of the Salvador Alvarenga case, which you can read on. Very interesting. The full story of the friend is there if you want to keep reading it more. And yeah, thanks for listening to my analysis on this movie and human and nature relationship and the movie Castaway. Stay safe and see you guys another time.